Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch every one and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are wrapping up the year 1985 with a bunch of things that didn't fit into our other discussions.
And some things we just found, right?
Yeah, a lot of things we are just now getting our grubby little paws on, either thanks to scouring the internet or the helpful people in our Patreon Discord who will point out the moment something is uploaded to the internet.
How do they know?
I think some of them, one in particular, has maybe a Google alert set for the word Muppet.
That makes sense.
Or also just searches YouTube every morning for Muppet, sort by upload date.
Newest. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I guess there's a lot of ways to know, it turns out.
And speaking of those things that are just recently found, not only are we wrapping up the 1985 things, but we are also watching a ton of other things from 1963 through 1985 that we previously weren't able to find.
Going back to the beginning.
Pretty much. And back to the black and white days. But we've done at least one, if not two, of these types of episodes before where we've caught up on things that we have missed along the way. So I don't think this will be the last time we do something like this. Hopefully, eventually, we'll have all the Jimmy Deans to watch.
Do you know how many we have left?
Out of the 86 episodes of the Jimmy Dean Show, there are only 33 we haven't seen.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's way less episodes of Jimmy Dean total than I thought there were.
I think that's because if you look up just like the Jimmy Dean Show, Jimmy Dean had different versions of shows throughout the years. And so it looks like he was on TV doing the same show for 40 years.
Right.
But in reality, he had a few different TV shows.
This version of it was only around for a few years.
Yeah, this one aired from September 1963 through April 1966.
Okay.
So yeah, it was only 86 episodes and we've seen, 50 of those.
Wow.
So, and these things just sort of pop up from time to time on the internet where I'm just like looking up some old clips and I think, you know what? I'll look for some Jimmy Dean, see if any of those showed up. And then there'll be, 3 that were just uploaded in the past few months for some reason.
It's weird to me to think that there's other people out there who are thinking about that also. And not just us.
Well, and also not because of Rowlf.
Yeah.
These aren't people uploading them saying, hey, look, we found this Rowlf clip. They're saying, hey,
history.
Right. We found, which to be fair, yes, the 90% of the episode is not Rowlf and is country music superstars of the era. So yes, it is more country music history than it is Muppet history.
Never thought of it that way. That makes sense.
But before we get into talking about all that, I just wanted to say real quickly, after our recent request for some additional ratings and reviews, I've definitely seen those numbers go up, folks.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for leaving those ratings and reviews. They not only, let us know that you like the podcast, but I think they tell Apple and Spotify that we're a good podcast.
Maybe. I don't think anyone knows if that's true.
And speaking of those reviews, we have a recent 5-star review from DVB Tucson saying, great for all kinds of Muppet fans. Sam and Matthew are great co-hosts. I also really appreciate that it discusses all kinds of Muppet Henson content, not just the movies and TV shows.
Yeah, that's right. Everything.
Today, especially. Today really feels like, some things where it's like, we found this piece of history. I'm so glad we were able to watch it. And then other things are like, oh, I maybe see why this ended up in the dustbin of Muppetdom.
There's one thing I would argue we shouldn't have even watched.
Ooh, well, I can't wait to hear which that one is. I also wanted to remind you real quick that this is your last chance to get your questions in for our mailbag episode. We're going to be recording that pretty soon. So this will be the last time you can get in new questions to be included in that episode.
Anything you want to ask us. We're not
Yeah.
necessarily going to answer, but you can try.
And it doesn't have to be about Muppets either. It can just
Mhm.
be, hey, Sam, what's your favorite form of pasta?
Ooh.
Don't answer now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm giving away the goods.
You got to
That's a
save the
big
good stuff for the
question.
podcast.
Big question.
Find out Sam's favorite pasta and more.
I know exactly what it is, too.
Ooh.
You better ask somebody.
Yeah, because we won't remember that we asked it. So if you don't ask it,
true.
we're going to forget.
Yep.
But we have so many things to talk about today, and we don't want to be here for 3 hours. So this would normally be the time of the podcast where I would ask Sam, what do we watch this week? But we're going to approach this a little differently because this is just a scattershot of random Muppet things that happened over a 20-year period. And, we don't want to repeat ourselves too much. So instead, we're just going to dive in and go through these chronologically like we watched them. So I guess first up, Sam, what did we watch this week?
The first thing we watch is another Rowlf segment from The Jimmy Dean Show, this one airing December 5th, 1963. In it, Rowlf tells Jimmy about the Animal Actors Academy, the school that he attended, which also boasts alumnus such as Donald Duck and Huckleberry Hound. He then segues into talking about Lassie and how he wants to sing a Broadway duet with her, leading to he and Jimmy singing a song about vaudeville.
This feels like comfort food, Sam.
It's so nice. It is like it sucks to think, and I probably have said this every time we've watched a Rowlf thing. It sucks to think that like one of the best things they did was right at the start. But this is really like and this whole chunk of things that we watched really like hammered home to me that I think the Muppets are best when they are in the real world, which is maybe something that rubbed me the wrong way about the Muppet Show every now and then, and something that maybe rubs me the wrong way about some of the movies or something like that. And maybe something I liked about Electric Mayhem is that the Muppets are guys who live in the real world and they do boring stuff, but they're weird, nasty little freaks and they do everything weird. And that's the funnest Muppets to me.
I think this batch does highlight that we get a lot of just the Muppets being treated as like part of our human world, especially when they're hired to produce a show about the Macy's Day Parade for some reason.
And they do a bad job.
I don't think it's entirely their fault, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I think like I could put on one of these Jimmy Dean Rowlf segments any time of day and enjoy it, partially because I don't always remember which ones we watched and haven't watched because there's so many of them and they're not that dissimilar from each other. Especially one of these is a straight up repeat of something we've seen before.
Deeply confusing.
And I didn't have time this time to watch any of these full episodes, but it is nice to have these full episodes available because you really get to see the energy that Jimmy Dean puts off throughout his like time as a host on this show, which is dated at times. Obviously, it's the early 60s, but the way he is so casual with all of his guests and everything is really, I don't know, it's a nice energy to see that maybe was more popular on TV back then. Like maybe everyone hosting shows in the 60s was more casual, but it's not something I feel like you would see as much today.
Yeah, it's just got an energy that like I guess maybe audiences don't respond to anymore, but I respond to so deeply is just like putting on a show, kind of like the thing. And he's so humble. That's what I like about him the most, is that he just does like the aw shucks thing in a way that I really believe, and also a way that probably he really believes, because he was kind of a little bit more of like a novelty guy, probably surrounded by these like, well, he's not that he wasn't talented, but I think he really does love. I skimmed some of them, and I do think he really does love country music and loves talking to these people. There's a part a little bit later that I thought was interesting where he mentioned Sam Goody. Did you get to? Did you see that?
Yeah, that was very interesting.
We'll talk about that when we get to it, but that also hammered home the like, this guy's like trying to do something, and that's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's like such an aw shuck show, but then there's like, they have like water features and like the most elaborate sets you've ever seen, and there's just like such a split between it being like such a fun hangout show and them trying so hard.
It also just is again, we've talked about this. This show was produced like in Manhattan. Like I think like just at least like in New York City. This is just like it's in the same studios where I think now they film, like live with I was going to say Regis and Kathy Lee.
Who
Clearly, it's
is it
not
now?
that
Who
anymore.
is it now? I actually have no idea.
Kelly Ripa and her husband,
Is that right?
I think.
Oh,
I don't honestly know, but I think it's like the same studio as that. Like it's just a TV studio. It's not a, it's not a big deal. Like,
right. It's
but
not the
it
Grand
feels
Ole Opry.
right, which they've done an episode from before, and it
Mhm.
feels like that the energy of this just makes it feel like that it is there all the time, and like
Yeah.
this is a down home country show.
Yeah.
But this is you're dealing with New York City folks.
Yeah. And that's what's fun about Rolf too, I think, is that he is like he's like an old hound dog, but he's also like a New York scumbag, which is fun. And especially in a couple of these, he's just like such a grifter. I love it so much.
But we start off this one with something we will see very soon again. During the
Yeah.
opening theme song number, Rolf is pow, pow, powing a whip
Got a little
just
little
because it
whip.
feels good. And there's a lot of these full episodes, which again is the nice thing about seeing the full episodes, have two Rolf segments. You'll get like a small, like 5-10 second bit with him and Jimmy at the beginning, and then you get like their 8-minute bit later on in the episode. And a lot of the things that we've watched from Rolf and Jimmy Dean have just been the 8-minute segments and not the brief little stuff. So even the episodes we have watched things from, we haven't seen all of the Rolf stuff they have.
Yeah. It probably is also helpful that we know that like Jimmy Dean fucking loved this guy so much. He loved this little dog.
Well, and
They
that's
did a whole
very
song
clear.
and dance number for him. Like that just comes, and I think that the whole show is like that. It just comes across that he's like a little boy who like won a contest to like have his cowboy show, and he's just having the time of his damn life.
Well, and I think it's interesting too because like this is season 1, episode 12 of the Jimmy
Yeah.
Dean Show. So at this point, they've done about 10 episodes together, and the last one we watched this week is the 30th episode, the season finale of the season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already so much more comfortable together by the end
Yeah.
of season 1 than
This
they
one's
are at
rough.
this point.
This is probably like the roughest one that we've ever seen. I feel like this second skit.
Yeah, it starts off with Jimmy getting interrupted by Rowlf, dancing and singing "Mention My Name" in Sheboygan with a bowler hat and cane. This is where he introduces the idea that he learned that at the Animal Actors Academy. And I think this is maybe what you're alluding to with the roughness, is that early on, they leaned exclusively on Ralph's a dog. How do we milk that for all it's worth?
Yeah, I just think some of their timing is a little bit off, and like,
Although there's some he wants to show off his Hamlet acting skills and then attempts a romantic scene and he gets real close to Jimmy's face.
yeah, that's pretty. I mean, like that part's really cute, but there is like a moment of like weird dead air where they just are like sitting there for a long time, and Jimmy's like, "Get on with it," and it also, but it kind of does feel like that was weird. You guys are standing here this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's just imagining Frank Oz's hands caressing Jimmy
Yeah.
Dean's face while Jim Henson's hand stares at him in the face.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just sort of caressing Jimmy Dean's head. And there's a long sort of pause. And Jimmy Dean just says, "Do the cotton picking scene," after a lot of face prodding and poking. But then Ralph quotes some Churchill, pines for Lassie, and discusses bringing back vaudeville. But it's a weak transition to go from
Yeah.
Hamlet acting skills, performing Hamlet, quoting Churchill, pining for Lassie, talking about vaudeville, and I'm just like, could you have started at vaudeville? You kind of
Yeah.
did with the Sheboygan number.
Or bring up Lassie and keep the romance thing
Mm-hmm.
through line. Yeah, they do. They just wanted to sing this song.
I think so. And so they sing Song and Dance Man, during which Rolf drops his hat.
Several times. They don't got the hat tricks down yet.
No, but there is a delightful little moment because Jimmy puts his hat on Rolf once he realizes Rolf dropped his hat. And then Rolf's hat pops up from below mysteriously.
Yeah. And the
And
audience goes crazy.
they love seeing behind the curtain there and realizing, oh, the puppeteer must have done that. But then he hands the hat to Jimmy and they swap their hats and the audience just loves all of this.
So I think I noticed it was rough in this part when it doesn't seem like they know this song very well. I feel like there's a couple times where they go blah 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 through a couple of the lines. One thing Rolf does in this that I thought was interesting was he tap dances. And
oh, yeah.
it's like the same joke that Kermit will do on the Muppet Show in like more than a decade or something like
Mhm.
that. But that joke, to me, that joke is I never realized why that joke is funny until like by the end of it. But the audience loves that joke too.
Well, especially Jimmy leans into it
Yeah, and he's
by
like,
peering
"Great
over the
job."
bench
Yeah.
And he like looks down at where Rowlf's feet would be and looks back. He's like, "Ooh."
Nice dancing. Yeah, that was cute. Then the next thing we watched was another Rowlf segment from the Jimmy Dean Show from January 30th, 1964. Rowlf is outraged that there's no dog day like there are Mother's Day and Father's Days. Jimmy gets swept up in the outrage as well, and the pair sing the battle cry of the canine, a song demanding that a dog day be established. This one kicks ass, I think.
We've also seen it before.
We have?
Well, we've seen this exact sketch before because they repeat it verbatim on March 25th, 1966 in a different episode.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't
Pretty much
remember
like
that at all.
it's well, yeah. So that's the thing is like we started watching this and I was like, I think maybe we saw this because the down with people sign he has in that one.
Oh.
Like he's
Right.
he's yelling the same things about like we must rise up and do all this stuff, but he has a down with people sign. And it's like
in the later one.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
But in this one, he's just shouting it out to the rooftops. And it's I don't know. It is bizarre to see the same thing twice, but I also understand this is years apart on a television show,
It
and
didn't
they were in
have
their
TiVo at the time. No one
well, and
could
this is
ever
also
prove it.
from it's also from their like second to last week of shows,
Oh.
the second one, and so they're probably just like, I'm not gonna make a new thing.
Or maybe they were like, let's roll out the greatest hits, guys. Or probably what you said. They probably had already fired all the writers or something.
Yeah, like I am not writing anything new.
Yeah.
So yes, this is the same thing we've talked about once before, but that was like in episode 3 of this podcast.
Okay. So word for word down to the because they mentioned Mayor Wagner. Was it the same mayor?
I mean, I honestly don't remember if the mayor was part of it, but the Arbor Day stuff is the same.
Right.
The Thanksgiving joke about the way they honor turkeys, I can do without. Exactly the same. A whole week for pickles and only 1 week for mothers is exactly the same.
Damn.
It's pretty much exactly the same with a few small changes here and there.
That's mostly weird in that I'm surprised that we haven't seen other repeated skits.
Right? Like if they only did one, that'd be weird. Which it's pinging in my brain right now that I feel like we saw one other one get repeated, but I cannot remember which one.
Right.
But yeah, this one is almost identical to the original, even ending with the same song of "How Come There's No Dog Day."
Huh. Then we won't even talk about it. We don't have to waste any breath on it. Go back and listen to our old episode. So we watched one more Jimmy Dean Show segment from April 23rd, 1964. Rowlf just got back from the World's Fair and shows Jimmy the souvenirs that he picked up before the pair break into a rendition of Meet Me in St. Louis called Meet Me in Long Island, Louis. Bit of a stretch.
Biggest stretch. Meet me in Long Island, Louis.
But this one's so weird because at the beginning, Rowlf pops up at the end, and it's the so when I was watching this, I was thinking, wow, how do they come up with a new big choreographed number every week? That's amazing. The answer is, I guess they probably don't, because this episode starts with the same exact opening number, choreography, same songs and everything, including Rowlf coming out with his little whip. But yeah, I wonder how often they recycled things and we just didn't notice.
Right. So, I mean, again, like if we were able to watch all 86 full episodes,
Yeah,
we'd probably catch on a little faster. But
that'll be when we're done with commitment. We'll do Jimmy Dean Mitment.
yeah, when we're old enough to start thinking about country music history and we really care about that in our 80s.
Yeah, that's right. But this one's also really interesting because right before the Rowlf thing, leading into the commercial break before the Rowlf thing, Jimmy's like sitting very seriously and he's like, New York doesn't have a country music station. So for all you people trying to listen to country music, I got one record store to agree to carry country music, and it's Sam. And Sam Goody said he'd do it. It's like, first of all, Sam Goody was a real person.
Yeah,
and he
like
was.
Not just I got the store Sam Goodies to agree to release this music. I got the man Sam Goody.
Yeah, went straight to the source of all music for people who are 36 years old. But yeah, he was a real guy who had a record store, and he was like, I read just a teeny bit about him on Wikipedia. He was like a friend to like college kids and beatniks because he would like, I think, give them records. And then his business, he had to sell his business because he was like several $1 million in debt.
Well, and I also skimmed a little bit about him, and yeah, his original store was on 49th Street in New York. not terribly far from where they were even recorded the Jimmy Dean show.
Yeah.
But that store alone was at one point responsible for 7% of the music sales in the country.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
How do you have
So,
millions of dollars of debt?
I
Giving away
mean,
a lot of records, I guess, to
or
beat
buying
it.
a lot of cars.
Or that. Yeah. That's truly insane.
So yeah, when he is saying he got Sam Goody to stock this in his store,
Yeah.
that is a big deal.
But also, I guess people maybe don't even know who Sam Goody is. Some people listening are like, what Sam Goody is.
Yeah, because I think Sam Goody got bought by FYE, which also barely exists.
Yeah. They were just mall music stores. And
Yeah.
back when mall music stores were fucking cool. Sam Goody is where I bought all of my Muppet action figures.
Ooh.
The ones I didn't buy, I have to buy online. But they would get the new waves, and I would just go in and clear them out.
It's a weird, time capsule-y type of thing.
Yeah.
Where, it feels like it was such a big part of our childhood. Like you had to, buy a CD, you had to go down to Sam Goody or
Yeah.
FYE or whatever it is to go get the CD. And then now it's like, oh yeah, no, like I know this is the most old man type of thing, but like it's just such a weird thing that felt like the biggest part of our childhoods, but in reality was like an 8-year span that we were doing that.
Yeah.
Before it was like, ooh, iPods.
But yeah, before like LimeWire started, and we were like,
Right.
fuck you, Sam Goody. I mean, on one hand, I do know of way more music than I ever would have known if I had to just go buy CDs. But I know that's not true of everybody, but
yeah, but I remember specifically walking around, like a Virgin Records store in downtown Chicago and just like finding CDs by their album cover and being like, ooh, what's this?
yeah. It was a little different in Butte, Montana. Sam Goody was the only record store, and we probably didn't have everything, but maybe we had enough. I remember buying the first Gorillaz album, and the guy who owned the Sam Goody making fun of me.
Wow. Well, you're on the right side of history, I guess, with that one.
I think it was because it had rap in it, is from what I remember. Butte had a big anti-rap contingent. I wonder why. Anyway, so then Rowlf goes to the World Fair. This one is also big because this is a World Fair where Small World was, where Carousel of Progress was, where all that great moments with Mr. Lincoln.
All the things from the end of Men in Black.
That too, the big spaceships that were real. Turns out they're real. Rowlf also unfortunately gets fairly racist in this one.
Yeah. It's thankfully not the entirety of it, but there's definitely a lot of racial stereotypes tossed in, unfortunate accents tossed in. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad, even with, the limited time spent on the racial stereotypes. They're still quite horrendous for Rowlf to be doing, especially. And one of the things I did like in this segment, though, was what I thought was interesting was Jimmy Dean talking about the new Mets stadium being a part of the World's Fair. And it's just, again, the time capsule where, one, they're talking about Shea Stadium, which had just opened and is no longer open. So that stadium has come and gone in the time since this episode. But there's something that I found interesting is that I think, as a person who's never really been into baseball, something I always know is that New York comedians will always joke about the Mets being terrible.
Yeah.
Regardless of the era.
Yeah.
And even here, we get a joke from Rowlf about the Mets being terrible. Jimmy says, oh, did you check out the Mets' new stadium over there? And the people just start losing it. They love their Mets. And Rowlf says, in the middle of all that success, failure.
As just a new baseball fan, I think that nobody hates their baseball teams as much as New York hates their baseball teams too.
But yeah, overall, like even before they get into the racial stereotypes, I feel like this one is pretty poorly written and kind of rough. I feel like the energy is just a little off. Like none of the jokes are really landing as hard as they normally do.
That's where they got the idea alert in this one though, because when he puts that mask on, then the storm starts in the studio, Enchanted Tiki Room. Walt Disney was in New York. He was like, "Oh, check out this Jimmy." He maybe was in the audience,
I love the idea that Walt Disney was in the audience for this.
Yeah, he's like, how droll.
Yeah, I will note very quickly that the Enchanted Tiki Room did open 3 years before this episode aired.
Fuck you, Matt. It did?
Yeah.
Next up, The Wonderful Night of Hercules Brown, a special produced in 1968 by the United States Information Agency, a government agency with the stated goal to understand, inform, and influence foreign publics in promotion of the national interest, and to broaden the dialogue between Americans and U.S. institutions and their counterparts abroad. So, this strange little bit of, I guess, government propaganda is basically a showcase of American puppetry in the 60s, lightly held together by a framing device in which a kid named Hercules Brown falls asleep and is guided through a variety of puppet based dreams by an elfin man named Barnaby. The boy sees Kermit perform Inchworm, the Beautiful Day skit with the Beautiful Day monster who shrinks away.
It's
And
called
he,
Happy Girl Meets a Monster.
okay, Happy Girl meets a monster. And he meets Rolf in his dreams, and he sees a couple of other puppet acts while he's at it. The Ritz puppets, who are a group of funny animal puppets whose skits are a bit more moralizing and about 100 times longer than Muppet skits, and Lamb Chop and Sherry Lewis, who perform a song about the ugly duckling. Thanks to this film, American democracy has spread and flourished across the globe, as you all know.
Yeah, this is the same year that the Muppets were doing the Pied Piper of Astro World, which is one of those
Right.
lost media
Lost
things we haven't
things.
got our hands on yet.
Yeah, a Lost
But also,
Rufus thing, right? I think Rufus is in
I
that.
believe so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's a star of that one. But we also got the Muppets on Puppets and a bunch of Ed Sullivan and Tonight Show appearances in 1968 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I did find somewhere that apparently they paid Jim Henson $1,250 for his professional services for this.
Was that a lot back then?
It's like 11,000. So, I mean, for doing a couple sketches that he's done before,
Yeah.
probably took him a day. That's
Yeah.
not too shabby.
He had to split it with Frank, probably, though.
Not 50-50, though, I don't think.
I doubt it. No way. He's a businessman, for God's sake. Yeah, this is weird as fuck.
Yeah, I don't know what the government is getting out of this necessarily.
I don't either.
But I can't verify this, but I'd be willing to bet that kid is somebody's kid in the government.
Oh, yeah, because he's certainly not an actor.
Certainly not an actor. He's the worst.
He really is one of the worst child actors I've ever seen. No offense to you, sir, should you still be living.
Full offense, I
But you
think.
didn't do a good job.
But this starts off with a terrifying song about a kid wanting a drink of water and before bed. And I don't think it's supposed to be menacing,
Yeah.
but
But
it
it
really
sounds
is.
like when the little girls in Nightmare on Elm Street are like, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Like, if you
Yeah.
heard this in the middle of the night coming out of the darkness, you would run the other direction quickly.
I had the thought that this is one of those songs where someone could take this song, if they happen to know about it, and use it in a modern horror movie
Yeah.
as like a creepy trailer song for
Yeah.
some, I don't know, water monster horror film or whatever. Yeah, it just is so menacing. And they end the special with it too. And it is not a comforting lullaby, which is what I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think people in the 60s had a different idea of what was comforting or just didn't care what children were terrified of.
I wonder if it was supposed to be sung by the kid and he sucked. Because it's like,
Yeah.
from the point of view of him, it's like saying,
Right.
Mom, I need a glass of water kind of thing. But I
But it
think
sounds like-
Barnaby is the one singing it.
Yeah, it sounds like a fucked up Bugs Bunny. But it is Barnaby?
I just assumed it was Barnaby
Yeah, I
because
think
there's
you're
only
right.
2 people in this whole thing. But the story here is that Hercules Brown just celebrated his 6th birthday, and he asked Barnaby to preserve all of the dreams he dreams to have them in one night, which is what Barnaby tells us. As he's relaying this to the child, Hercules,
Yeah.
Hercules doesn't seem to really remember that he did
Nah,
this or
he
be
seems
that excited by the
confused.
concept.
Barnaby is also interesting because he's like he's like an established character who's like a legendary Cleveland television host.
Yeah, for like 40 years,
Yeah.
Barnaby was a known character
Yeah,
around Cleveland.
a guy playing this character. Very odd. Those were the days though when there was local. We need more local television personalities. You know, everybody loves Finguli. You know, nationwide. There's a reason for that. We need a Missoula horror host. I think.
It could be you.
It could be me. I could do it as a puppet. I couldn't do it as a person. I wouldn't want people looking at me.
I don't know what the idea was behind this necessarily, but it doesn't come together. It just is, again, the concept is that this is all of Hercules different dreams that are strung together, and apparently all he dreams about is puppets.
Yeah.
And his mom being a puppeteer, who is played by Sherry Lewis,
That's a good part of the special, though.
because it's Sherry Lewis, and
You
you
get to
have the
spend a
hots for
lot of
her.
time really close to Sherry Lewis's face. My favorite part is actually when Kermit pops up and Barnaby describes him as the old bully frog who likes to take advantage of everyone who's smaller than he is.
Right?
What a
What a
mean thing to say about Kermit.
so cruel. I was shocked by that, but I do like that when he's saying that, you do see Kermit's little eyes pop up over the edge, like,
Yeah.
I'm here to get that worm.
He's pretty mean, I suppose, in this short, but to call one of the most beloved fictional characters of all time that old bully frog.
Especially like Kermit the Frog, the famous character who takes advantage of everyone who's smaller than he is.
Which, if you think about it, kind of true. He's their boss, and just by virtue of being a boss, you're kind of taking advantage of people's skills to create something,
He's nice to Robin. Robin's smaller than him.
Robin doesn't have anything to offer.
He also does make him perform, I'm guessing, without pay.
Yeah, it's literally what's that when you get called when you nepotism. It's literally nepotism, because I think nepotism comes from the word nephew.
So Robin is the original Nepo baby.
He was the first one ever. Yeah. That feels like a Greek word to me, so probably like Plato's nephew was like
Plato got his nephew Bob a job.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, this is my nephew Bob. No, he's not great, but my sister would really like you to hire him.
Thanks, Caesar, or whatever.
This has been your history segment of this commitment episode.
Brought to you by two people who ostensibly work at an educational content company. They laugh so hard when Kermit gets eaten at the end of Inchworm too. They love that he died.
Well, yeah, and it does seem like it's not the Kermit we know and love, but they're also like, it's more like this is not Kermit, but it is the bullfrog from his dream.
Yes. Yeah.
Like to Hercules, this is not, hey, it's that Kermit the Frog you dream about.
Right.
This is just the bullfrog from your dream, who in this case happens to be played by Kermit the Frog.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess that does kind of make sense.
Kinda. I mean, yes, nothing in this really makes sense.
No.
Specifically because next is when they discuss going to the park, and we see the Ritz puppets. The Ritz puppets, and what I could find to read about them, seem like a parallel path, not as successful Henson family.
Yeah. That's kind of what I gathered too.
Yeah, so in 1952, Paul and Mary Ritz created a show called The Ritz Puppets for another show called In the Park, a CBS TV network show. So a little before Sam and Friends.
The park connection? Is that why they mention the park?
I don't even know if that's on purpose, Sam.
Okay.
But then the Ritz Puppets would also go on to appear on The Ed Sullivan Show, The Tonight Show, The Merv Griffin Show, and The Mike Douglas Show, along with appearing on some educational children's shows that I have never heard of called Exploring and Watch Your Child.
So do you think in a parallel universe we are doing Ritz Mint Mint and we're talking about Jeffrey Giraffe, Magnolia the Ostrich, and Albert the Chipmunk?
I mean, maybe there's not a lot of Ritz content. We could combine it and do Kermit Ritz.
Kermit Ritz.
Kerritzman. Kermit Ritz.
I like Kerritz. Ooh, I like the last one you said. Okay.
I don't even remember. Oh no.
That's our new Patreon bonus. Kerritz Mint Mint.
Kerritz Mint Mint. But yeah, like in the 60s, they also like Paul and Mary went on to host a daytime TV show as themselves.
And without puppets.
Yeah. And then the puppets appeared in the Jerry Lewis movie, The Errand Boy, and had a 1-hour NBC special called For the Love of Fred, about a caterpillar who forgets how to turn himself into a butterfly. And then in the 80s, the puppets were doing PSAs.
What? How have we never heard of these guys before?
I'm guessing they stayed local, or maybe there was some of because Paul and Mary wanted to be on camera as presenters themselves, maybe the puppets weren't their priority. Because I know Paul was a TV man. Like, he worked at a TV station before they started doing the puppets.
Okay.
So whereas Jim used the puppets to get into TV, Paul was already in TV and was like, I guess I could do some puppets.
Do some puppets too. It really is like Jim eats their lunch. Like, it takes them so long to get to the point. Their
Yeah.
puppets don't look very good.
Well, it feels like when we watched Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, where I'm like, oh, okay, I see sort of. It just drives home the point that Jim really did revolutionize TV puppetry.
yeah. I mean, I think the writing is there and for Kukla, Fran, and Ollie in a way that
Mm.
it's not for the Ritz puppets because they really are just like morality tales that take forever to get where they're going. I do think Magnolia the ostrich walked so Miss Piggy could run, though.
And I guess the one nice thing coming out of this is that Paul and Mary both get credit and talked about because Mary did voices and was, called out as a
Sure.
part of this team.
He let a lady be in his puppet show.
Whereas Jim did all the lady voices himself.
Yeah, and his Muppets still have a bit of a problem with that to this day.
But then continuing on through Hercules' dreams, man, this is so rough. Barnaby's talking to him about what you can do in dreams, and Hercules is like, "Can you make it rain upside down?" And he's like, maybe not that one.
This kid's a psycho. You destroy the earth.
But he says, but every day people are making the impossible possible, so who knows? And then for some reason, that triggers the Happy Girl Meets a Monster sketch.
Yeah.
Where we see the original crown grabber version of the Beautiful Day monster ruining Susie's day.
This is a hell of a little skit, though. It's so good.
I love the little Beautiful Day monster puppet at the end so much.
The little freaky one.
Mm-hmm. The little one she smacks with a fly swatter.
Yeah. I had a thought also that Beautiful Day is sort of a proto Oscar the Grouch, I would say.
Yeah, I could see that.
Got kind of similar mannerisms and a similar attitude, obviously.
Similar eyebrow.
Yeah, and Oscar definitely has a gun in his garbage can, just like Beautiful Day Monster does. The fact that they do the shrinking practically is just so amazing, though. It looks so good.
I just love that the moral of this is like, talk him down until I destroy him.
Yeah, I'm still gonna kill him.
Yeah. He will be dead at the end of the sketch. But now Barnaby and Hercules want to talk about responsibility, like obeying the law.
Yeah, that's his first example.
It's his first example.
We are the government.
Don't forget to obey the law, kids, as well as being kind to animals, which triggers Rowlf saying, I agree with that one. And here comes the old Rowlf the dog, who at this point, Jimmy Dean show had wrapped up. He was in his IBM days. He'd gone corporate.
Yep.
But this is not great.
No, it's not. Ralph's not really given his A game in this one, I would say.
I feel like it feels like Jim was given very little to do in this one, especially because, the other ones where it's Beautiful Day Monster and Glowworm, he's got those, like, he can do those in his sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this feels like they didn't really have a script necessarily, and they were just like, I don't know, come up with something real quick.
Right.
The dog talking in a dream.
He's not the best improviser, as we've seen many times, and we'll see later in some of these clips. I like the notion from Rowlf that dogs can talk, but they're just too boring, so they don't talk about anything. I think that's kind of a fun idea.
Yeah, I think this is one of Rolf's worst, but he does say that he has a tail.
That bothered me. I have the action figure. There's no tail. And then picturing Rowlf with the tail is also disturbing.
Well, what length of tail?
Yep.
Is it a little stubby one?
He could have a little nubby, and that might be cute.
Is it a big, curly Shiba Inu one?
I mean, the kind of dog Rowlf is, I feel like he would have a big tail, probably, like a big fluffy one,
I'm sure there's other examples of Rowlf mentioning having a tail through the years, but I feel like in my head, Rowlf doesn't have a tail.
Then at the end of this, Rowlf literally just wanders away. He's just like, well, I'm going to go this way now. And then the camera follows him for such a long time as he's like, do.
It really does feel like they did all of this in a day.
Yeah.
Like I think the most striking thing about this to me is it feels so first take, best take.
Yeah. And also, I would love to know why the government did this. Like, who conceived of this idea? The president of the United States, for some reason, was like, and I think it was shown mostly in South America, maybe. So somebody was just like, this will help us with the socialists. We'll show them Sherry Lewis, and they'll go, hubba hubba. Maybe capitalism isn't so bad.
I mean, I guess this was the year Nixon became president, so
yeah,
I guess maybe he was like, quick, give me a puppet show. I guess he wouldn't have been in power yet. He was elected.
So LBJ in his lame duck term was his lame duck period was like kind of blow it all on puppet shows. He was like Sherry Lewis Hub, get her a job right now. I could see that way more. He was like, you know what'll make Nixon really mad? Puppets.
Lamb chop.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of lamb chop, that's the only thing left in this special. I even hesitated to call it a special.
Yeah.
This 30-minute movie, film, television adventure.
I think film is what it deserves.
Sure.
It's like airdropped into foreign countries on a big reel.
So Barnaby suggests a bedtime story from Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop, who, notably, he refers to Lamb Chop as a he.
Yeah, I looked that up. Definitely, she has always referred to Lamb Chop as a girl.
Yeah. Even, Lamb Chop first appeared in 1956.
Yeah.
And still, even after Sherry Lewis died in 1998, continues to exist because Sherry Lewis's daughter Mallory has carried the puppet around, still doing Lamb Chop.
You know what the height of disrespect, in my opinion, is? And I think I've said this before, that Lamb Chop exists mainly as dog toys right now. You know?
That is very bizarre.
Isn't that weird?
It is very weird. You go to the, PetSmart or whatever like that, and there's a bunch of Lamb Chop dog toys that just look like Lamb Chop, but are to be chewed up by your dog.
They're like pretty high quality reproductions of Lamb Chop.
So much so that I have like a Lamb Chop puppet that I don't let my dog anywhere near because I feel like she's going to be confused.
She's been conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Henson people, maybe they're to blame for this. But yeah, I like this part. I like that there's a part where Lamb Chop's like, where they're talking about what comes out of eggs, and then they start talking about elephants, and Lamb Chop's like, what do baby elephants come out of? Setting her up to say elephants' vaginas. But I love how there's like a lamb, like that is the joke of that part is like that's what she's supposed to say, and she even gives like the look. First of all, she's a babe. Second of all, I think she's better than Jim at being a puppeteer.
It's a different skill set, Sam. Like she is the
she's
ventriloquist
a and a character, but she does character so well too. You know, Lamb Chop's like so fleshed out.
Yeah, but I think if you start to spread out from there, Sherry Lewis's other characters are maybe not as fleshed out. When you get to Hush Puppy and Charlie Horse and
Charlie Horse, yeah, Charlie Horse is disgusting looking.
It's a bit like me. I think she's better than Fred Rogers at puppeteering by far.
Yeah,
but it's the sort of the Fred Rogers problem where King Friday, pretty good character, pretty good performance.
Yeah,
every other character in the Land of Make Believe, sounds exactly like Fred Rogers doing a weird voice and not true. In a good way.
Well, I'm standing by my hot take that she's a better puppeteer than Jim because I do genuinely believe that with Lamb Chop she is. I think that you're right that there's whatever exceptions to this are like she does have a different skill set, but she's a great ventriloquist.
Oh, absolutely.
And the way that she can just go June, like we've seen Jim with Kermit. Jim and Kermit in this so frustrating multiple times is like, I can't even comprehend Jim when Sherry Lewis is having entire conversations with herself and they're hilarious conversations.
Yeah. And I think to me, the rapid fire changing between characters, acknowledging that you are two different beings, but still, singing songs together and all this stuff like she is much better at that than Jim is, mostly because Jim isn't a performer himself.
That's true.
Sherry Lewis, performer.
That's right.
Top notch.
You're right.
She can sing, she dances, all that. Jim is like, I'm just here because the frog has to be here.
He's just some nerd. Yeah.
So bizarre that her legacy is dog toys and the song that never ends being the most annoying thing everyone has ever heard.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch her show all the time, and I loved that show. But you're right. It's just kind of disappeared. So yeah, then Barnaby ends with that same creepy song, and that's that.
I guess that did bug me. Is like the whole thing feels like there's too many plot lines kind of trying to happen. And because the kid reiterates a couple times, like, you have to get me back before it's time to wake up.
Yeah.
But there's no sense of danger to that, or what happens if he doesn't get back in time. Does he die in his sleep?
And is he even actually gone? No.
Right?
I
don't think so.
I don't think Barnaby literally crawled in his window and brought
him
to the park. I hope not, too.
Yeah, I don't it feels like a Peter Pan thing almost.
Yeah.
But again, they could have leaned into that and we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, it just felt weird and messy. And again,
Yeah, it's
like
because
they
a
wrote
bunch
it in a
of
week and produced it in a day.
it's because a bunch of shadowy government men in suits smoking chain smoking cigarettes made this to brainwash somebody. There's something embedded in this film that activated some sleeper agent somewhere. Is basically what
Yeah,
it
there's
is.
something we don't know, we now believe, but will be triggered in the future, and we'll be
Yeah.
like, we'll just react, and suddenly we feel like, I
Yeah.
think I do have to, go speak on
Go
behalf of
topple
this.
South American governments.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
Whatever they were up to in 1968.
Yeah, we'll wake up in the jungle covered in blood is pretty much the next step of commitment. So then we watched a PSA from 1974 starring Cookie Monster. Cookie and an incredulous narrator discuss the importance of eating all the different food groups to stay healthy because, as Cookie says, a monster cannot live on cookies alone. All the while, a backhoe is slowly pulling up behind Cookie throughout this whole kind of 1 minute long commercial, eventually dumping a whole load of cookies on his head when it's time for dessert. Because obviously he was going to eat cookies the whole time. I loved this because I did not notice the backhoe. I just like know that sound was in the background of like the motor, and then
Mhm.
at the last scene, I was like, "Whoa, Cookie's about to be killed by a piece of construction equipment." So I just thought it was like a very effective storytelling in 1 minute. Kind of the
Ye
opposite of what we just saw with Hercules.
Absolutely. The Muppets are always good at ads, is what
Mm-hmm.
we've learned. Uh, and yeah, this is from, about 5 seasons into Sesame Street at this point. This is the same year as Muppets Valentine Show and the Herb Albert Tijuana Brass special and the Mysterious Out to Lunch special that we'll never get to watch.
Ugh, sad.
And yeah, we get the Veggie Monster.
That's what I wrote. Remember Veggie Monster? Remember how mad people were?
Remember everyone screaming about woke Cookie
Cookie
Monster?
Monster is eating vegetables now. It's almost like it's all a scam and stupid, and people are just make up things to get mad about so that they can make money.
It's almost like he's been doing this all along.
Uh-huh. I think we've seen like season 1 Sesame Street stuff maybe where he's eating carrots or something like that. Like
Yeah, and I think the
this
only
fool's
the
been
only
doing their
part
stuff.
about this that rubbed me the wrong way, because I did really enjoy this,
Uh-huh.
but something about Cookie Monster saying he eats meat.
That's what I wrote down too. Fish in particular, because I was imagining him putting a fillet of fish on that puppet and going blah
Oh.
blah blah blah, and then making it stink forever.
See, I picture Gollum ripping apart
Oh
a fish that he
no!
just grabbed out of the river. Just singing that whatever it's he's so juicy sweet song that Gollum sings while he's catching and eating fish. I wish I could do a good Cookie impression, because I think Cookie Monster could knock that song out of the park.
Yeah, I've always thought that Lord of the Rings would be a great thing to make Muppet Lord of the Rings out of.
I mean, we know that Jim was aware of those stories, because he looked into making them into movies at one point and went, well, that seems hard. I'll make The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth instead.
Yeah, I mean that's what like my answer to which would be the best movie. Replace the cast of a movie with
Mm.
Muppets with one human. Mine would be the other way around, where you just replace the hobbits with Muppets, and they call them
Mm.
Muppets, and they say Muppet Village is under attack. There's no hobbits anymore. They're just
Muppetin.
Muppets. Yeah, and it's all exactly the same movie, except that Muppet characters are playing all the hobbits. Wouldn't that be funny to go to
I would love
Hobbit
it.
Village and it would be just bonkers, and the Electric Mayhem would be playing at Bilbo's birthday party, and Bilbo would be Kermit, and Frodo would be Robin. It's all perfect.
I don't think Frodo can be Robin.
Why?
I don't want Robin and, presumably Fozzie going on an adventure. I want Kermit and Fozzie going on an adventure.
No, okay. So I've already actually drawn this, but in my head, it's Robin and Bean Bunny. Bean Bunny is Samwise Gamgee. Merry and Pippin are shoot.
You need
I'll have
2
to
other
think about that.
C-tier Muppets.
Yeah, 2 other little weird guys. Pepe and Rizzo can be Merry and Pippin.
Okay.
That's good, right? Because Pepe would be like, I got to see that orb. He would want to see the orb so bad.
I was going to ask which one's which.
Yeah, he'd be the one looking at the orb, and Rizzo would be the one who falls in love with the babe.
So Pippin Pepe, natural.
That already works, yes. He wouldn't even
All
feel
right.
bad about wanting to see the orb. He'd be like, he would go join Mordor, I feel like. If push came to shove, he'd be okay with that.
Yeah, he just wants the rings for himself anyways. Like that's just a natural part of his
Yeah,
personality. Like
because
he
they
doesn't
look
even
because they're pretty. He doesn't care about the power. He's just like, gold looks great on me.
yeah. He's going to collect 4 of them for all 4 of his arms.
Yeah, he could wear all the rings of power on all of his hands. Wow.
The
Anyway.
most powerful creature in the universe is Pepe.
Yeah. Just whoever has the most arms in that universe wins. Well, that's
what they need to write into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, guys with more arms. They should have made Orcs with more arms, then he would have been okay. Well, then we watched a 1977 segment on Jim and the Muppets from a Canadian news show, I guess, on the station CTV W5. Starts with some discussion of Sesame Street's success before moving on to talk about the upcoming Emmett Otter, showing off some great behind the scenes footage and also spoiling the end of the whole special. They also spelled Jim's name wrong and say that
Yep.
Muppets are a combination of the words marionette and puppets. So they fucked up completely in this news report.
Yeah, we get Jim Henson, Hensen.
Yeah.
In their Chiron.
Pretty low level fact checking that you'd have to do to get that part right. But
we also get the interviewer, Isabel Bissett, describing Muppets in maybe the most boring way a Muppet has ever been described. She says, Muppets may seem like mere puppets to you, but they're the new myths in our TV-nurtured culture. To millions of children and their parents, they've become distinctive personalities, each representing, in his exaggerated fashion, particular human quirks and foibles.
Shut up. That's every fictional character.
But then she says, Henson wouldn't bring Kermit along to our interview because Kermit has a habit of taking over his creator. It seems like it sounds like they had a conversation where, like, we really love Kermit, and Jim's like, I don't really feel like it. And they're like, but we'd really like Kermit to be there. He's like, Kermit isn't coming.
Yeah.
But we do get maybe the beardiest era of Jim.
He looks kind of rough in this, I think.
Maybe he's just been up there in Canada too long. He's turning into a lumberjack.
Yeah. He looks like extra wrinkly. Like they're probably just like deep in Emmett Otter and he's exhausted, maybe. But yeah, I thought it was so funny that they show the mayor, like of all the clips they could have picked, they show the mayor saying, and the nightmare win the contest. Poor Canadian people.
Well, and I do think this has some of my favorite Jim quotes in any interview. And this is a lot of good behind the scenes Emmett Otter content.
Yeah, it's really good.
We see Frank cramming his arm in a lot of different places.
That's true. Yeah, and I do like that Jim's like, we all know how awful television is.
And like laughs and he's like, right? Yeah. Everyone agrees television is awful.
Yeah.
But the interviewer asks him at one point, why is there no one swearing on set, even if something goes wrong? And he goes, you haven't been listening closely.
Because if you don't think Frank is a constant stream of profanity, I don't know what to tell you.
I think everyone but Jim had a potty mouth, but especially Frank, based on, I feel like every interview I've ever heard with Frank, especially in Brian J. Jones's book, he drops a fuck in the middle of a quote.
Yeah, right.
They talk about using Muppets in ads, and Jim talks about how he's sort of against that because now that Kermit is associated with Sesame Street, he doesn't want him being an ad man. But also, Jim, you were doing Polaroid commercials like last year. If his logic was they started off as,
switching gears.
Yeah. Like, but once they got associated with Sesame Street, I decided no more ads for these Muppets.
Yeah.
But that's just not true.
Right. He's like, now I'm off to do an American Express ad. See you later. Well, that's true. That's a good point. I was maybe too harsh on this one. It does have a lot of good little nuggets in it for sure. And people asking Jim about something besides Piggy and Kermit's relationship, which is all anybody else talks about. Then we watched a couple little sketches from the October 28th, 1977 episode of Donnie and Marie. In the first one, in a biting satire of Burger King commercials, Donnie sings an order for a nasty hamburger with like chocolate sauce and other junk on it, disgusting the fast food employees. At the end, Oscar the Grouch pops up, compliments his order, and finishes the song with him. And then in the other sketch, a very timely satire of 1963's The Birds, birds are attacking Tippi Hedren again, and she's trying to batten down the hatches of her home when there's a knock at the door. She opens the door for some reason, and it's Big Bird. And he doesn't murder her horribly. It just turns out that he's invited some friends over to 123 Sesame, but they got the wrong address, so he brings them all to the right place. I would love to see Big Bird and the Birds, just like, he'd be unstoppable. If he got whatever virus they got and went nuts.
You just be walking around with a baseball bat taking people out.
Yeah. Hey, Gordon.
But yeah, this is it did make me Google, when did the birds come out?
Yeah, because they make it seem like it just happened.
Yeah. Like it is definitely pitched as like, oh hey, everyone's talking about the birds these days. Let's reference that movie.
It's also really weird that they introduce it with a like a parody version of It Takes Two that turns into being about the birds. This show seems
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, I think that's Donnie and Marie's whole vibe.
Yeah.
I also love that, like, you know, the whole people have talked to this point to death for many years, but like Donnie and Marie, people are like, wait, are they married? Are they brother and sister?
Yep.
What's going on? They are brother and sister. And
Right.
so when they're singing It Takes Two, they are literally like faced away from each other.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, typically this is a romantic song. We are not singing it at each other, though.
No. It takes us and one other person. They're the two.
It takes two.
Not
Me
us.
and my wife, who is not this woman.
I swear. She's not. Why doesn't anyone believe me?
But maybe most notable in all of this is the background singers for
Oh,
the
yeah.
Burger King parody.
Uh-huh.
The one all the way to the right.
Yeah.
Did you recognize him?
I didn't look, no.
It's Mr. Billy Crystal.
What? Really?
Yeah.
That's where he got his start?
Kinda, because this was literally like a month after he started appearing on the TV show Soap, which is his big break.
Oh, wow.
So he was still like a working comedian and actor at this point, hadn't really had his big break, and apparently got a job as a background dancer singer on Donnie and Marie.
That is insane. I never knew that. It also is interesting that Big Bird calls it 123 East Sesame Street. Have we ever
Yeah.
had that reference?
Not that I've heard. I don't like the East also pinged me because I feel like the East feels like, okay, so there's another West Sesame Street.
Where nothing's happening, really. It's pretty normal over
that's
there.
Barkley's other family, though.
Yeah.
That's where he goes.
Yeah, but I think we could narrow down even further where Sesame Street is in New York.
Ooh, because it needs to be an East address.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, then even a little bit more nothing, we watched a clip of the opening of the Center for Puppetry Arts, which happened on Jim's birthday, September 24th, 1978. This is kind of just a mishmash of Jim and Kermit talking to a reporter who's not very good at talking to Muppets, and a clip of a dude talking about how great the Puppetry Center is.
Yeah, this is we talked previously when we were talking about 1978 things about Jim going down to Atlanta to open this. The Center for Puppetry Arts, that don't know, it's many things. It's a school, it's a performance space, it's a museum. I think back then it was mostly just a school and like performing space, but now it's I think a lot of people go there for the museum these days. And yeah, he was there to cut the ribbon at the opening ceremony, but this thing is almost less than nothing.
Yeah.
We see Kermit just yelling, "Hi, Piggy. Hi, Fozzie." And the reporter asks Jim and Kermit, "Is this the first time you've been down to the South?"
Idiot.
Which, you know, to be fair, the Muppet movie hasn't come out yet.
Okay. So he doesn't know the backstory.
But
I suppose.
do any bit of research about Jim Henson, who is from Mississippi. But it's just a very awkward interview.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little unclear of what this. It just seems like it seems like clips that somebody would have been talking over in a news report, maybe.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe because I think this was uploaded to YouTube not that terribly long ago. So maybe it was a found in the archives. This is the best we got. Let's just upload it as is kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the one fascinating thing in here is you see Jim talking to a room of people. And if you listen closely, he's describing the plot of the Muppet movie.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I think he's just sort of saying that like, we start off in a swamp with Kermit, sort of thing. Like he's introducing the beginning of the movie to people.
The swamp. There you go. He knew that Kermit was from the swamp already.
Well, that guy maybe wasn't there. I'll give him benefit of the doubt.
Then, in one of the longer things we watched Hip Hip Parade from November 21st, 1978. Ostensibly a behind-the-scenes report on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade starring Kermit and Fozzie, this odd PBS special is almost more like a Mystery Science Theater short, sort of, with Jim and Frank riffing over old parade footage, intercut with people who work on the parade talking a little bit about their jobs, from being clowns to building the floats. There's kind of a through line of Fozzie, after seeing Kermit's balloon, searching in vain for his own balloon. That starts off mildly funny, and then by the end is run into the ground. But this is also not what I was expecting it to be. I really thought this was going to be like they're at the parade talking to the people who work on it, but they're just standing in front of a green screen the whole time, just like watching the parade and being like, "There's Snoopy. Oh, there's Snoopy again."
Yeah, it's so this was like famously lost media. This was a
Mm-hmm.
thing that up until December of last year, people weren't sure even existed.
Oh,
The only evidence of this existing was a newspaper review, I think in the New York Times, talking about it. And people were like, "Does
huh.
anyone know what the hell this is?" And they're like, I don't know," because it aired in 1978. It aired the following year on some New Jersey PBS stations, but never again.
Wow.
But then, yeah, somebody last year in December uploaded it all to YouTube. But it is shockingly boring.
I've been excited to watch this one.
Same.
Oh, and I think there's a point where, where like at the beginning. So first, one thing that is really interesting is that this is Hi Ho Kermit the Frog here from Sesame Street
Mm-hmm.
mixed with Fozzie, which I don't think
Right.
we've ever seen that before. And there's a lot of like Fozzie being like, "You work on Sesame Street." Kermit's like, "Yeah, I work on that show." But then Fozzie notices that they're not on New York, like on the street. He's like, "What the hell is this?" And then Kermit's like, "It's a chroma key." And Fozzie's like, "That's boring." He's right. It's boring.
Yeah, because it is a lot of them just saying, "Hey, Smokey Bear. Hey, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Hey, Mickey Mouse again.
Yeah.
Hey, Mickey Mouse again." And I think it feels like Jim and Frank had no script and
Uh-huh.
one joke.
Uh-huh.
Because the through line of Fonzie looking for his balloon is really the only thing they keep coming back to, aside from just dull facts about the parade.
Yeah. Which, like, if they had been the hosts of the Thanksgiving Day parade, they were
Mm-hmm.
sitting there, they were saying these dull facts about the parade, they were riffing a little bit. That would be really fun. Like this
Yeah.
script actually at the parade, but to see them and then you're watching old footage of the parade that they're just like sitting there talking about. It's like, what's the point?
Well, and it feels like it was pre-edited together, and then they
Yeah.
just put it on a TV in front of Jim and Frank and said, "I don't know, say some shit about this."
Yeah. Right.
Because
Just say
at one
Snoopy over
point,
and over again.
yeah, at one point there's a marching band going, and one of the color guard drops their flag, and Fozzie makes sure to call that out.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. It's not anything. Fozzie just goes, "Hey, they dropped their flag."
It is really interesting to me and how much it feels like Mystery Science Theater, like
Yeah.
down to the fact that they're puppets. But
There's a caterpillar thing that comes in at one point, and Fozzie goes, "What's that?" And Kermit goes, "A long thing."
there's a couple moments like that where Kermit's like, "That's a Macy's Day guy," and Fozzie's like, "A Macy's Day guy, huh?" So there are really nice. It's like fun moments, and it's fun as always for these two to be hanging out and being nice to each other, like Kermit and Fozzie, to be having like a conversation, but really don't amount to much of anything. I did think Mr. Chuck was fascinating, the clown.
Yeah, I found a surprising lack of information about
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chuck.
Oh, like when you looked him up.
Yeah, like I was trying to look up,
Oh,
like, who played Mr. Chuck? How long was he there? Who was he? I couldn't find anything other than Mr. Chuck, the Macy's Day Parade clown, was a character, but
it
I
seemed like he
couldn't.
ran the parade for a brief amount of time, kind of.
Yeah, and so
But
it seems like a fascinating guy that, I couldn't find any information about. So maybe there's more
yeah,
out there and I just know where to look, but couldn't
interesting.
find out Mr. Chuck's, even his real name.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they don't ever say it. I don't think, do they? In this.
No, they just keep
Huh.
saying Mr. Chuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sort of casual nature of this reminds me a bit of something that we'll watch in the future called An Evening with Jim Henson and Frank Oz,
Oh.
which is from, I think, one of the Puppeteers of America conventions where it's just Jim and Frank on stage with their puppets, just doing some like really improvised bits.
Uh huh.
And it's one of those things where the joy of it is watching them just hang out and
Just
do
to have
fun
been
stuff,
there and
but
see
it's not
it.
actually that funny.
Right. Right. This was on TV and should have been funny. It's also weird that they're making a float of Watership Down, like a horrifying
Yeah, I
movie.
was waiting for someone to call that out
Yeah.
and maybe make reference to some of the horrible things that happened, but nope,
Yeah.
they just lump it in with some other cute animals and The Hobbit. Speaking
Yeah.
of, we get to
Right. Because
hear.
I think the animated film had just come out. It's probably why they built this.
I loved hearing Kermit say, "This is Smaug, the dragon from the story of The Hobbit."
I also loved that. That was good. Yeah. I do. There's a little bit of a thrill to them being like, there's Mickey Mouse. There's Bullwinkle. Like that, just like on the cheap, most lizard brain level.
Right.
Because I love the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But
Yeah,
But
when
yeah.
the Sesame Street float shows up, Kermit says, "I work on that show." And
Uh-huh.
Fozzie's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you on there." And then they, Kermit's naming everyone. He's like, "Oh, there's Bob, and there's Big Bird, and Ernie, and Bert." And Fozzie's like, "I don't know them."
No,
And Kermit's
those
like, "Yeah,
guys.
they're wonderful."
Yeah, that was nice. Well, then we watched a clip from the actual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade from 1983, which featured a Fraggle Rock float full of Fraggles, both living and dead, singing a special arrangement of the Fraggle Rock song and the big old Kermit balloon. Great float, but a lot of those Fraggles were just like, oh.
This is maybe one of the most hilariously poorly directed pieces of
Oh,
television I've ever
it's driving
seen.
me nuts. Yeah.
This is a terrible use of the float. This is the first time the Fraggle Rock float was in the parade. Thankfully, we get another example of it in the parade that's much better than this.
Yep.
But wow. Like,
You don't get any close up shots basically of anything except the worst parts of the float, which are just the
yeah,
unmoving Fraggles.
we get wide shots, we get the walk around Fraggles, we get close ups of unknown random Fraggles and a lot of lifeless Fraggles, including a split screen at one point that shows 4 Fraggles, one of whom is the world's oldest Fraggle singing along. The top 2 completely lifeless, limp Fraggle puppets, and it sits there for a good 20 seconds
Yeah,
on these
very,
4.
very
And then
bizarre.
later on, we get more close-ups of the dead-looking Fraggles.
Yeah, and I think the only time that you get to see the main Fraggles, I had written down, are the main Fraggles even on this float?
Yeah.
Then you see a shot of the backs of several of them for a few
Yeah.
seconds.
You get a glimpse of the back of Red and Gobo, and
Yeah.
you can hear them. They're singing specific
Yep.
lines
Yeah.
as their characters. They were there, but no one told, I guess, the people filming this who the Fraggles were.
These are the main guys. The guys whose mouths are moving, they're the main guys. And then the full body Fraggle characters are dancing in front of the float, so you just can't see anything except these really annoying full body guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thankfully,
I agree. It was so poorly done. I was shocked.
yeah, like I said, thankfully we do get to talk about it here in a little bit. The
Yeah.
better version of this.
Yeah. Then the Kermit balloon comes by, and everyone says, "Wow, great Kermit balloon." Even though he always looks a little saggy and weird, his arms are always deflated.
Well, he'll soon be at his saggiest and weirdest.
Yeah. So then after that, we watched, chronologically speaking, segments from the January 14th edition of The Saturday Show, a British kids show in which Jim, Kermit, and Sprocket were guests. Jim sits on a throne and bloviates about his past to an audience of bored children. Kermit cracks wise. Jim shows off how a doozer is remote operated, which is actually incredibly cool.
Mhm.
And then a kid is picked from the audience to put on a puppet show with Jim, though she is given maybe the most piss poor puppet I've ever seen in my life. A puppet which the host repeatedly mentions as a Czech guy. Seems very important for her for some reason to say.
Very
that he's
important to
Czech
reiterate.
guy. Bad puppet aside, the kid and Jim put on a little routine, and that's incredibly cute.
I was shocked it went as well as it did.
Yeah, she did a great job. He coached her real good.
But yeah, this is the week after Fraggle Rock debuted in the UK, a few months before Muppets Take Manhattan comes out. So Jim is in full promo swing here. And yeah, the Saturday Show is a Birmingham-based Central Television Saturday morning children's TV program. And really the only interesting thing I found about this doesn't really relate to the show that we saw at all, but was interesting because it said a pilot show was recorded with Big Daddy, who's a professional wrestler, presenting this show. Assisted by Isla St. Clair, who we do see.
She's the host, yeah.
And short films were shot with Big Daddy to insert in the upcoming series. A trailer for Big Daddy's Saturday Show, complete with logo, was shown on ITV the Saturday morning before the show was due to air. But then it was announced during the week that Big Daddy was dropping out and that Isla St. Clair would now take the lead.
What did Big Daddy do?
I don't know. It says on Wikipedia, there's never been any clarity on what happened with Big Daddy, why he had to leave. Maybe it was a scheduling issue with the wrestling. But yeah, this was going to be a very different show.
Do you know who Big Daddy is?
I don't. I think he's a exclusively like UK wrestler.
Okay. He didn't come over to the WWF or something.
Not that at least not under the name Big Daddy as far as I remember.
Yeah, it seemed like a scattered show to me.
Well, and it's so confusing why these children are there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really understand why these bored children are there. Maybe other times they are more engaged.
Yeah.
But it just seems like the two hosts and Jim are having some conversations, and then they cut to a wide shot, and you see a bunch of kids staring away from Jim.
Yeah, because the way that this thing is set up is that the guest sits in a throne in the middle of the audience. So you really actually can't see him even if you wanted to, but these
Well, and the
kids don't
hosts
seem to
each sit
want
on
to.
an arm of the chair, so Jim has to awkwardly look up
Yeah.
at the two of them, like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey guys, what's going on?"
Yeah. Very odd.
This is an awkward interview. Like, not maybe not the most awkward thing we watched this week, but it's up there.
I think it is, to me, it was the most awkward thing. Like, especially the ending is so weird. But it seemed like the guy was like really nerding out about Jim Henson. The
Right.
lady couldn't care less about Jim Henson, and the kids were completely ambivalent to Jim Henson.
Like, they got Sprocket, and they didn't give a
They didn't
shit.
really do anything. Yeah. Yeah.
Sprocket's there. They reference the captain in the lighthouse, the UK version of Fraggle
Right. We
Rock.
saw like our first footage maybe of the captain that we've ever seen.
Yeah, just like a little clip
Uh-huh.
of the captain.
Yeah.
But yeah, the riffing on this is a little off because
Mhm.
Kermit's like, I'd like to see part of a film, something with the Muppets in it, and so they show a scene from the Muppet movie where they stop off at the fair. So presumably the Miss Piggy scene or the
Yeah.
the cameos of Bob Hope and everything.
British
Who
children
knows?
love Bob Hope.
He's British, Sam. We learned this.
We did learn this. You're right. It's all coming back to me.
It's one of the main things we've learned on this show. But they must have also shown in the meantime that we don't see a Bugs Bunny and Marvin the Martian cartoon
Yeah.
because they come back and warn kids about the dangers of messing with Martians and also fire.
Yeah, because by the end you find out that they did that some people were doing limbo under a flaming stick. I think is what
Yeah.
that is. Maybe
It
just
feels
don't
like
do
we
that if you
missed a
don't.
lot.
Yeah, because at the end there's like several musical acts on stage with them that I would have loved to see. They're passing around food, which is interesting.
Sam, they are passing around food because they are passing the duchy because the band that's there is Musical Youth.
Oh, is that the band that sang "Pass the Dutchie"?
Yeah.
Oh,
The kids that are in there amongst the crowd
that
as part of the musical
makes
group
so much
is Musical
sense.
Youth who sang
Okay.
Pass the Duchy.
Yes, so they're doing that, and they're passing the
Yes.
food around.
Yeah, because Pass the Duchy was a Kids Bop song, essentially,
Yep.
of another song that was all about smoking weed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was originally a song called Pass the Coochie, I believe is what it's called.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's about smoking weed. Could be Coochie. I don't really know.
That's interesting. Okay, well, and Jim's there too.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But there is some other things that do happen along the way. They ask what he was doing before the Muppets, and he recognizes that this is too long of a story, so he pivots to, well, before the Muppet Show, we were doing Sesame Street.
Yeah, he still doesn't shorten it enough for the children.
No, because then he does bring up that I started doing puppets when I was about 17 or 18 years old.
Yep.
And then they go, oh, so it's something you've always wanted to do. No, it wasn't. I just wanted to get into television.
Awesome.
He says no so many times to them.
Yeah.
Like all of his his answers like start off with, no, that's not right. I'll correct you though.
You didn't do any research before I came on the show.
They ask Kermit how he met up with Jim Henson, and we get an existential Kermit a couple times throughout this and the Wogan interview, where he leans and goes, I don't really know. It's a concept I don't really understand. I understand he has his hand in almost anything.
I kind of hate that.
You don't like it?
I don't like it when Kermit, I feel like a lot of when Kermit gets asked a question that he's uncomfortable with, a lot of it is like no selling in a way that people who are interviewing you don't understand.
Right.
So they keep asking about it. Like he doesn't give the hint strongly enough that you should cram it and not ask about that thing.
Yeah, no, it's
then
much
they're like,
more.
"Ooh, this is a fun riff," but really he only has that one thing to say about Miss Piggy, and he only has that one thing to say about Jim.
Yeah, it feels like something that Jim just doesn't want to talk about. Like he doesn't want to talk about himself. And I think one of the most telling moments is later on. They're bringing up that Kermit is 30 years old, and he's just like, "Well, how old is Snoopy? How old is Charlie Brown?
Yeah,
they're frozen in time."
Yeah.
As he gazes to the heavens.
I don't remember what put me down this train of thought, but I was wondering how old Kermit was right before she asked how old Kermit was.
Yeah.
And I thought something about him. It was when he was on the trapeze and he gets hurt on that old Muppet Show clip. And I was like, that would happen to me if I was 36, like a 36-year-old man on the trapeze. And then I was like,
Right.
is Kermit exactly 36 years old? Anything that would hurt Kermit, I think would hurt me too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I think he's exactly 36 years old. That's my guess.
But we do get my favorite Jim, which is chaotic, I don't give a fuck Jim. At one point where the host starts talking directly to the camera saying, we're so lucky today to see how the whole Muppet thing works. And Jim pokes Kermit's head into frame and is like, who are you talking to?
I
Who are
like
those
that
people
too.
out there?
Yeah.
And this is the moment where you can tell, it happens a couple times throughout these interviews where Jim's like, you know what? This sucks. I don't enjoy
wanna do
this. I
something
am
to
just here
entertain
to cause a little
myself.
bit of chaos.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's leaning into the Frank side of his personality a little bit.
I think so too. Have we ever seen Jim voice a doozer before?
I don't think so. I because he wasn't around Fraggle Rock very often.
Yeah, right.
So I don't imagine he did a lot of Doozer stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get a Doozer comes out. They introduce him as if he's the biggest star in the world, which is amazing. And he rolls out in his little like motorcycle car. And yeah, we see Jim with a Waldo on his hand performing a Doozer.
That was cool. I really
Yeah, they
liked
don't
that
seem
part.
impressed enough.
No, it was like mind-blowingly amazing how responsive that thing was.
Mm-hmm.
The motion was just like 1-to-1 perfect. It was great. I love that part.
So they show Dark Crystal clips. They talk about why'd you make it so scary?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think
it's not scary. Yeah.
scary.
It's a little scary.
But he talks a bit about how Frank is the same performer behind Agra and Piggy, which I
Mhm.
like that he called that out. But I
Mhm.
don't like the awkwardness of this interview.
No, it's bad. Yeah, then they make a child come up and sit on a big throne in front of a bunch of other children, and then they're like, she's like, I didn't write you a letter, and they're like, but your mom did. What a literal nightmare.
Yeah.
Like,
You had no idea this was going to happen, but now you're on stage with Jim Henson having to
'cause
do a
of your-
puppet show.
having to talk about your mommy. Ew.
And also because she's kind of into puppets, but
Yeah.
a very recent thing that she got into.
Yeah, she says no to them a lot too, because
Yeah.
they're like, have you always loved puppets? No. Have you ever used a puppet? No. Wrong kid.
But even in the performance she has with Jim, she no buts a lot of the improv moments. Where he's like, hey, you're a farmer, you plant crops. And she's like, no. He's like, I thought farmers planted crops. And she's like, not me.
Well, I think that's maybe to set up the herd
Yes.
cow jokes, which
But her timing is poor.
her timing
so-
does make it seem like she just doesn't know what's going on. But
But yeah, they
he
attempt a herd of
teaches-
cows joke, and Kermit ends the sketch with a "wa-da-ba-ba-da-ba." And then the girl pulls down the puppet, and Kermit says something that I'm sure the children's show wouldn't have wanted him to say,
Yeah.
where he goes, "Oops, my farmer died."
Yeah. British people are okay with that, I think.
They're okay with death on
They
their
have a
children's
more
television.
realistic idea of the human life.
But yeah, then it ends with the aforementioned musical youth surrounding the hosts, and we missed a lot of this episode, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I think it would have been interesting to see more of what the hell was going on, because it really did seem like they were just flying by the seat of their pants for this show. Then we watched another Thanksgiving Day parade from 1984. The Countmobile and the Sloppy Jalopy from Follow That Bird make an appearance, and the Fraggle Rock float is back. This time, did it have the big Gorg on it last time, or is that a new addition?
Great question, Sam.
It was shot so poorly the first time.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if we
honestly
ever
don't
even see that
remember.
part. Well, this time they like you can very clearly see this huge kind of Junior Gorg puppet. It's just like a float, but it looks really cool on top of the whole thing, swinging a big club around. And the Kermit balloon is also there. Much better implementation of the Fraggle Rock float for sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunately more brief than the previous one, so we get to see better shots, but for less time.
Yeah.
There are still some dead-looking Fraggles, but much less. And honestly, the two more interesting things to me about this was when I was skimming through the parade, and I found a segment where John Ratzenberger, Cliff from Cheers, is singing a song about being thankful while we intercut shots of him and the Woody Woodpecker balloon.
Oh, wow.
And they
What a
don't
big-
connect the dots at all. They don't say why this is happening.
He's
They are
thankful
just like,
for Woody.
they're just interviewing John Ratzenberger, and they're like, I hear you're going to sing us a song. And he's like, all right.
You know what I hate? When you see those memes that are like, John Ratzenberger is 36 years old when he's at his
Oh,
height
yeah,
of
in
fame.
Cheers.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
we look that. I don't think that we look that old, but we
It's
probably
gross.
do. We probably do.
I mean, George Wendt was in his 30s when he played Norm.
Yeah.
in that. So
That's fine. It's
we're
fine.
older than most of the cast of Cheers in season 1, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Oh well. Rest in peace,
but
us.
but after the Kermit balloon is shown, they cut to commercial and say, "Coming up, Dom DeLuise interviews a balloon named Garfield."
I wanted to skim through and find that, but I ran out of patience. Did you find it?
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
They show the Garfield balloon later. They play What's New Pussycat, which is pretty good, while he's there. But the only time Dom DeLuise is seen in this parade is he's up on a balcony throwing confetti down on people.
They cut his interview with the Garfield balloon. What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
I don't know, but I want to see it.
Oh no.
Ugh.
It doesn't happen. That makes sense because I tried to find Dom DeLuise and
Yeah, no.
big orange balloon in the same
Basically, as they're
frame.
going to a commercial, you see him on a balcony throwing confetti, and that's it.
Did he stand on the balcony and hold the microphone out and say, "Hey, Garfield, what's going on?"
If so, we didn't see it.
Damn.
Right.
Well, then we watched a bit of the December 6th edition of the New Tech Times, a PBS digest of the latest tech news of the 80s. In this episode, some nerd reviews the Muppet software that has just come out, Gonzo's WordWriter, Muppet's Electronic Story Maker, and Muppet's Welcome Aboard. And also Sweetums is there. The nerd thinks the Muppet games are pretty neat, though I'd have to disagree with him there, having played them myself on our live stream, which you can check out.
But we've got, years of good video games
That's true.
to compare to. They didn't have those yet.
Yeah, we've played Elder Scrolls, so we know what video games are supposed to be. And Sweetums does almost nothing at all. He just sits there and grunts.
That's because in this, he's apparently not performed by Richard Hunt.
That doesn't surprise me. It seems like a person who's weighed down and has no idea what they're doing inside of that Sweetums suit. And also, Bunsen and Beaker should have been there because they are nerds also, and they are the ones who made those games according to like the pamphlets that come with the games.
Yeah, I think Sweetums is just an impressive character to have,
right.
and I'm sure they just threw what they could do at this as easy as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy's name is Frank D'Ignazio, reporting from the Muppet Mansion.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to like computer games, but he likes these ones.
Or so he says because he's at the Muppet's house and he has to say that.
Yeah, he's afraid Sweetums is going to eat him.
Yeah.
But at the end, he's almost like, most of the time I think kids should be playing with paper and crayons instead of computers. But this time it's all right.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand what I understand that these are kind of educational games. So I guess it does make sense that
right.
people in the 80s who were worried about video games would like them. They suck, but whatever. But yeah, it's like a waste of having Sweetums there, but it does make sense that is not Richard.
It also sounds like the previous episode, which we don't have access to, was also about some Muppet games.
Right. But yeah, this was fun. I liked I skimmed some of this episode to watch because they're like the new technology, IMAX. And there's some big nerds talking about IMAX, which is kind of cool. And it's just a great 80s set and great 80s technology.
Yeah, it's like, if IMAX film sticks around, it'll be great. Or maybe it's just a passing novelty.
Next, we watched a short clip from the February 16th, 1985 edition of Entertainment Tonight, featuring a very short segment on the Henson Masked Ball, Jim's perverted bacchanal, in which employees and celebrities wear costumes and do God knows what else. And Bernadette Peters was there too.
Well, yeah, there's a hilarious cut to Jim in a feathered mask talking sincerely about the creative people and the things they make and wear.
Yeah.
Saying, given the opportunity to play like this, they come up with some wonderful things.
A feather mask and like armor. He looks like a creep.
He looks like a puppet from Labyrinth.
Yeah, basically he does. That's right.
But it's just hilarious that they're like talking about all this and they just cut straight to him and you're like, whoa, okay. That's all right. That's Jim.
Yep. In the most costume of anybody there, basically, besides like the Miss Piggy and Kermit, who I assume have to be there.
Yeah, they feel hired.
Yeah.
But we see Andy Warhol next to someone wearing an Andy Warhol mask. And then at the end, we see someone wearing a Jim Henson mask as Jim Henson talks about people coming as all kinds of monsters and creatures.
Don't let anybody in here. It's cute, though. He looks like he's having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if Andy Warhol brought the person in the Andy Warhol mask with him.
That makes sense. And if he made the Andy Warhol mask, too. Yeah.
It was a statement on something.
Yeah, and then he saw the Jim mask and he was like,
damn it, that was better than mine.
This was my whole thing.
Yeah.
Then we watched another Thanksgiving Day parade, this time from 1985. It is kind of weird that they even had a segment on that dance anyway, or like on that gala. Maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just a big celebrity happening.
I guess so. Then we watched another Thanksgiving Day parade, this time from 1985. The Fraggles, unfortunately, did not make the cut this year, it seems like. Just the Kermit balloon.
I
This was
think
the
I
one
read
that
that they were shipped off to like Philadelphia or something for a different Thanksgiving
a
Day parade that
lesser
year.
Thanksgiving Day parade. There's got to be like high quality photos of every float they've ever made, I assume, somewhere.
Somewhere in the Henson archives.
Yeah, or in the Macy's archives, you know.
Mm.
But this was the one I was going to argue shouldn't count towards the Kermitment because Kermit is a balloon and not a Muppet. But this year, the Kermit balloon deflated and they had to drag it along the streets. And Pat Sajak rightly points out that he looks like he's passed out drunk. And I just was like, at first I was like, why is Matt making us watch this? He ain't a Muppet. But then he was just like, whoa, dead on the ground. It's like, okay.
Well, and this is one that often people bring up of like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, the year Kermit popped.
Yep, he's dead as fuck. He really does. Like the way he's posed, he looks like he's just like sprawled out on the ground, passed
Yeah,
out
he's just sort of
completely.
army crawling his way through the parade.
Then we watched a bit of the December 6th, 1985 episode of Wogan, a BBC late night talk show hosted by Terry Wogan. Jim's one of the guests, and he goes over the same old story of his origins, making Kermit out of a coat, stuff like that. Then Kermit shows up, and Terry unfortunately asks him for the 400th time about Miss Piggy and their relationship, and they have the same boring conversation that always happens anytime Kermit is asked about this. So maybe after 10 years, Jim should have thought of a better, more interesting way to handle this question, or people should learn not to ask him about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, this one's not that great because
Mhm.
Wogan's not great. He just keeps cutting Jim off mid
Yeah.
sentence.
He's got his own jokes to tell.
And they're not good.
And they're not
As
good.
you see from his monologue at the beginning, he just gets polite chuckles from his own audience.
Yeah, because he's just saying, it's Christmas, get presents. That's the, and then people are like, yes, how droll. We must get presents.
But yeah, he also is just like constantly saying things as if they're true very confidently, and Jim has to correct him. Where he's like, now the Muppets started as characters in Sesame Street, and yet it was left to Britain to give them their big break instead of America. And Jim's like, well, no,
Whatever.
that's not at all what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's like, uh, he's very condescending too. He's like, how'd you convince such big stars to do the Muppet Show?
Yeah, you mean the most watched show of all time? Wogan.
One of the things that was interesting to me though is that he did note that Jim was supposed to be there the week before, but couldn't make it. So Wogan had to go on with a green sock, which I can't imagine would have been funny or good.
Is that and that really happened, do you think?
I presume so.
Yeah,
He
I
says
guess
it
that makes
in a way that
sense.
I believed him.
Yeah.
But this is right around the time we talked about when Jim flew back to the UK to reshoot some Hoggle stuff for Labyrinth.
Oh,
So I wonder if he just got too
Hoggle
busy.
emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really like this that much, I guess, all things considered.
Yeah, there's a couple things Jim gets in where, again, they talk about him being 30 years old. And he's like, you're 30 and there's no marks on you. And he's like, we have ways. We can rebuild you if you'd like.
I did like that part, yeah. But then he also goes into the existential, like, I don't see Jim. I don't acknowledge Jim.
Yeah.
Which is just
well,
like
and Wogan starts ribbiting at him for a while.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where Jim starts to be a little sassy and like looks Kermit into the camera and just like, really cute. I'm like, yeah, good job. Who's this guy?
Yeah. The X factor in all of this is like Jim is the constant. So maybe Jim's just really bad at getting interviewed. We've seen so many bad interviews with him.
Yeah, but I feel like in the days of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, he was pretty good with both Dr. Teeth and Kermit.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So maybe it is like the host not feeling prepared or like wanting to talk about the same stuff Johnny Carson was asking him about 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It is just embarrassing when they bring up the Miss Piggy thing, I think.
And this is maybe the angriest we've ever seen Kermit about it so far, where he is like yelling, like, we have a professional relationship.
Finally, for me at least, and you'll learn about that in a second, we watched clips from the December 7th, 1985 episode of Great Performances, a PBS series that televised operas, plays, ballet, and musicals, other stuff like that. Culture. Hosted generally by guest stars like Julie Andrews and Whoopi Goldberg. This episode, though, was hosted by Miss Piggy and Kermit. So Kermit has taken Piggy out to see the ballet version of Cinderella. Interspersed with the ballet, we see clips of their date, and Kermit tells us a little bit more about what we're seeing in the ballet. And in my opinion, it's incredibly charming, and like what I said earlier, exactly what Muppets should be doing. They're just real people out of the world on this date, kind of making a mess of things a little bit. But I really liked this. This would have been like to tune into great performances and see them as a kid, I would have been like, this is amazing. I got to watch this episode of great performances.
Yeah, I liked it less.
Oh,
I will
okay.
say. To me, this felt a lot like Hip Hip Parade,
Mm-hmm.
where they were just kind of casually having unfunny conversations about what was happening.
Oh, I thought they were funny conversations. I like when they spill the wine on the people below them and the guy's like, it's eating through my suit.
Clearly, Jim, by the way,
Yeah.
Jim's Rowlf voice yelling up
Yeah.
at Kermit and Piggy.
It's eating through my lapels because it's Banana Chablis, one of the finest vintages of Mexico, which is just a totally like rip-off joke from the Muppet movie. But
Very, very similar.
I do love the through line that they're so cheap and broke that they have to get like toxic waste wine all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I just didn't love this one. I think it just seemed like, a lot of talking about ballet and Cinderella with like some, I don't know. It didn't hit with me.
I think it made me think of a world where this kind of thing happens more often, where, like we've
Yeah.
talked about before, it's perfectly normal to have Kermit the Frog hosting something.
Right.
And that's just one of the people that you can call to be like, our host is out. Will you host this week? And it's just Kermit. And he's there.
Yeah, no. I think like if like you're saying, like the scenario you put forward of like if you're tuning into this show and suddenly it's hosted by Kermit and Piggy, that is a delightful surprise.
Yeah.
So I do like that scenario and probably would have enjoyed it more if it was like a thing I already wanted to watch that was happened to be hosted by Muppets.
Yeah, and you know what? You're saying that the conversations weren't funny, but to a PBS fan, this is like the
Ooh.
most hilarious thing they've ever seen in their lives. They can barely handle it. They would, if they were any funnier, they would kill the people watching. They're too elderly to laugh.
12 people
that hard.
died tonight watching great performances.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it ends in the most bizarre way, where Kermit says, "I wish you all a good evening and may you all live happily ever after."
Yeah. Why? It's Cinderella, And then Piggy's like we did.
I hadn't put that together. That the fairy tale aspect.
It's
I
a
was just like,
fairy
who ends a show saying
That would
"live
be
happily
really-
ever after"?
That would be really weird, I suppose. Yeah.
Like if
Especially
Jimmy
for
Dean
Kermit.
was just like, "Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you all live happily ever after."
Yeah, that does sound like a "I'm never gonna see you again" kind of
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, this seems like Piggy and Kermit they're back together. They're making things work. He invited her out, and then finally, we watched Happy New Year America, a special that aired New Year's Eve 1985. Apparently, it featured Kermit, but also apparently it was taken off of YouTube, and the account that posted it was suspended before I got to see it. Sometime in between me watching it and Matt watching it was just a few hours, but they found him. They tracked him down.
Yeah, like which is bizarre because, for reference, when we find a new thing, something is shared with us, I will typically go and download that clip because this happens from time to time and I want a backup. This is something that had been on YouTube for quite a while. This was not a new find. This had been on YouTube for a while, I think years even. And is, I don't know. It's bizarre because I watched this literally less than 24 hours before I get a text from Sam saying, "Hey, that clip's been taken down. I can't watch it." And I don't know what happened.
Maybe we got a spy in our Discord, a YouTube spy.
I haven't shared that we're watching this yet.
Oh, that is so weird. I wonder what about it. Like
I never share the lists of things we're watching until after we've recorded the episode,
that's
so that doesn't happen.
The account got suspended, so maybe they uploaded something horrible.
I'm thinking maybe they've been uploading a lot of copyrighted material and they hit their 3 strikes. So like this wasn't the thing that put them over the edge.
Right.
But this was caught in the crossfire. So
Right.
yeah, I will talk through this real quick. Sam did not get to watch it, unfortunately. It is a CBS New Year's Eve program. Kermit the Frog reported with Al Jarreau from New York's Plaza Hotel about the ball drop going into 1986, which is really, it is the most perfect wrapping up the year thing we could have talked about.
That's what I thought too. I wish this happened every year so we could always be like, and it's the Kermit ball drop time.
Yeah.
So,
but for those that don't know Al Jarreau, he did some very popular songs. But for Sam's point of reference, he also sang the theme song for Moonlighting.
Oh yeah, I love Al Jarreau. He's on my smooth music playlist a lot.
Ooh.
He's a smooth guy.
Mostly it's just like, it seems like it's a half-hour special when Al Jarreau introduces it. He says something about like, for the next half hour, we're going to be here hanging out as the ball drops. we only get to see 5 minutes cut down from this, so I'm
Mm.
sure we are missing some Kermit. We're missing a lot of other performances. But basically, at the end, we get a very poorly timed, sloppy countdown from Al and Kermit. But it is like they've just been hanging out all night together in Times Square, and as they start counting down, Kermit says, "1985 was quite a year. Reagan and Gorbachev had their summit meeting." It's like his fun fact about 1985. But Kermit's wearing a nice outfit with a sparkly top hat.
Oh, wow.
After the countdown happens, everyone starts celebrating. Kermit and Al sing the quickest rendition of Auld Lang Syne you've ever heard. They race through it. And then Al kisses Kermit on the face. And you get a quick little, "What?" from Kermit.
Aw, I wish I could have seen this.
Maybe one day it'll resurface.
That
But for
sounds
now,
fun.
that is unfortunately, I just have to describe it to Sam.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I wish we had more, because honestly, it seems like it would be a fun thing if you could just watch Kermit for a half hour on New Year's
Totally.
Eve.
Yeah, just puttering around. I like to see these guys just puttering around.
Like, if you could have a full version of this and sync it up with your midnight countdown on New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
I'd love to have that. But
I was gonna
unfortunately, we
say-
just get 5 minutes.
I was going to say, go watch it tonight. For some reason, I had it in my head tonight was
Oh.
New Year's Eve.
Well, and you can't watch it.
Nope. And I can't watch it. That's too bad. Al Jarreau. I love Al Jarreau. What a combo also.
But that does it for everything we watched this week. Again, so many things. But
Does this close the book on 1985?
it does close the book on 1985, Sam. We are done with another year. The most episodes we have ever spent of commitment on a
That's what I was
single
gonna say.
year.
1985, a huge year for the Muppets. Not their
Yeah.
best year, just their biggest year.
We had Fraggle Rock, Playhouse Video, Muppet Babies, Little Muppet Monsters, Dream Child, Reading Rainbow, Night of 100 Stars. We had so many things happening this year.
Yeah.
Jim Henson Presents the World of Puppetry. 1985 was a big year, and I think, to be fair, somehow, weirdly, our biggest year for a while. Like, we don't have that many episodes scheduled to talk about for 1986. But for now, Sam, I know we watched a lot this week, but did you have time to watch any non-Muppet things?
I didn't really watch that much stuff. Rachel's been, I think I talked about this before, but Rachel's watches that show Ghosts. You know that show?
Yeah.
So I just watched that kind of over her shoulder. I think that's a really good show. It's funny. I feel like in an age where there's a lot of sitcoms, there aren't a lot of sitcoms that are funny. There are a lot of sitcoms that are drama and funny, but Ghosts is just funny. And we also watched a little bit of the British version of it, which is also very funny. So that's kind of mostly, I had to watch a lot of Muppet stuff, and we watched Ghosts. How's about you?
Well, we watched Josie and the Pussycats last night.
Great film.
One of the best.
Yeah.
One
Genuinely,
of my favorites.
I think that is one of the best movies.
Yeah, no, if you have not seen Josie and the Pussycats, I implore you to go check it out and watch it, because it is just that good. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I think you can buy it to stream, but I don't know that it's free anywhere right now. But oh, what a movie!
It's just so it's such a like Gen X-y movie in disguise, where it's busting on branding so hard. And I went to see it in theaters when it came out, and I remember being completely mind-boggled about what it even was supposed to be, and being like, why
it
was
is
there
definitely
McDonald's
something you can
logos
appreciate
everywhere?
more as an adult.
Yeah.
Than as a child. I enjoyed it as a child, but watching it now, I'm like, this is cinema.
Yeah, and Parker Posey's so good in it. One of my favorite jokes also is that Alexandra, I think that's her name, like the and they're like, why are you even here? And she's like, I was in the comic book. That's such a good reason to include that character, and it's so a funny joke.
Yeah, played by Missy Pyle as well, who does a great job.
Yeah.
But I love that movie. I had the biggest crush on Rachel Lee Cook when I was a kid.
Oh man, that doesn't surprise. She's like a punk rock kind of chick.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It was almost like a little disappointing when I found out she didn't actually sing the songs.
Yeah.
In the movie, but that's okay.
You forgive her. I forgive you, Rachel Lee Cook.
Well, before we get out of here, we got to let you know what we'll be watching next time. And next time, we're kicking off 1986 as we celebrate the 3-year anniversary of this podcast.
Whoa, yeah.
But not only that, we are celebrating 30 years of the Muppets. because we are going to watch and discuss the January 21st, 1986 CBS special, The Muppets, A Celebration of 30 Years.
Wow.
But the celebration doesn't stop there, Sam, because we will also be joined in that discussion by a very special guest.
Oh boy.
Sesame Street puppeteer Ryan Dillon will be here to discuss The Muppets, A Celebration of 30 Years with us.
This is a big one, folks.
Well, we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com or commitmentstuff.com if you want a good Keep Believing, Keep Pretending shirt.
Or camel guy?
Camelmatch.com will also get you to the important places.
Yeah.
That URL just recently renewed, and I was like, should I?
You said the
I
same
guess.
thing last year, I think, too.
Yeah,
You
probably.
were like, do I keep going?
Whenever that, if somebody mentions a URL in a podcast, I have to buy it.
Yeah.
That happened recently with a SciShow Tangents episode.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You can email us at mail@commitment.com if you happen to find any of the unseen Muppet things that we have yet to discuss. And we can do another one of the episodes in the future. You can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at CommitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.